So today, we're going to unpack one of the biggest, most significant corporate legal battles in modern history. Seriously, it's a wild story of secrets, manipulated science, and a high-stakes showdown that would completely shatter an industry's carefully built public image.
And it all comes down to this question. For one high-level executive, the answer was, well, everything. His decision to speak out would end up exposing a conspiracy that went on for decades and cost an entire industry billions and billions of dollars.
You know, this whole thing really gets started not in a courtroom, but with a secret that the tobacco industry had kept under lock and key for years. I mean, look at this internal document from way back in 1963. Behind closed doors, they knew exactly what they were selling.
All right, so let's get into it. Let's start with the man who would find himself right at the center of this storm.
So this is Dr. Jeffrey Wiggand. He's got a PhD in biochemistry, a super credible scientist, exactly the kind of guy a tobacco giant like Brown and Williamson wanted on their team back in 1989. They made him vice president of research and development. But, and this is key, he wasn't just hired to keep things running as usual.
He was brought in with what seemed like a pretty noble mission: use his scientific brain to develop a safer cigarette. Sounds good, right?
Well, what he actually found inside the company's labs and executive offices, it would set him on a collision course, not just with his employers, but with his own conscience.
Yeah, it didn't take him long to figure out that his goals and the company's real priorities were completely at odds. It was like they were playing two totally different games. While he's over here trying to protect public health, the company was laser-focused on protecting sales and dodging legal bullets at all costs. So inside the company, Wiggand starts uncovering what he later called forbidden knowledge. Get this. He found out that the addictive kick of nicotine was being chemically juiced up with something called ammonia technology to make it hit your brain faster. He found out they were knowingly using cancer-causing agents and that company lawyers would literally go through scientific reports and edit out anything that looked bad for them in court.
Now, this is what's so fascinating. The language they used internally. The company's own scientists didn't just talk about harmful components. Nope. In their private meetings, they used the Latin term noxe, which literally means poisonous substances. So yeah, they knew exactly what they were dealing with.
So after all this, he gets fired, and he starts facing threats against his family. I mean, he was pushed to the absolute brink. He finally makes this huge decision to testify in a lawsuit down in Mississippi against the entire industry.
And this really gets to the human drama behind all the legal jargon. For Wiggand, this wasn't just about data and documents anymore. This became personal. It was a fight he felt he had to see through, no matter what it cost him. So under oath, Wiggand he let it all out. He explained how the lawyers would systematically go through scientific meeting minutes and scrub any word or phrase that even hinted that current cigarettes were unsafe. Why? Because that would be an admission of liability. And you can bet the company's lawyers were fighting him tooth and nail. The transcript from that day is just littered with them shouting, "Objection!" trying desperately to shut him up. And here's the kicker. This wasn't just Wiggand's take on things. He was directly quoting his old boss, the CEO, Thomas Sandifer, confirming what the company's real focus was. They were in the drug delivery business. But it didn't matter. Despite the constant interruptions, the truth just kept pouring out. The genie was officially out of the bottle. Okay, but the real bombshell, that was still to come. Wiggand's testimony was about to blow a massive hole in what the CEO had told the U.S. Congress under oath just the year before. And just like that, with those 4 words, the industry's entire wall of denial, that whole claim that they didn't believe nicotine was addictive, it just began to completely crumble. You see, Wiggand's testimony wasn't just some one-off event. It was like the spark that lit a legal wildfire against the whole tobacco industry. It gave states the ammo they needed to sue for all the healthcare costs tied to smoking. And the end result? One of the largest civil settlements in history. A number so big, it's hard to wrap your head around. The industry was forced to pay out almost $250 billion and completely change how they sold their products. And just in case there was any doubt left, a federal court ruling later put the final nail in the coffin. A judge officially declared that the industry had, in fact, engaged in a conspiracy to defraud the American public for 50 years. So what does all this leave us with? The whole legacy of this case, of what Jeffrey Wiggand did.
It really forces us to ask a tough question that's just as important today. When a company's profits go head-to-head with public health, what happens next? And who's the one that ultimately pays the price?
This content is for informational and educational purposes only and does not constitute legal advice.